Alright, ladies and gentlemen, Darkside Phil here, and welcome to Ask the King. I do this show every 2 months. It's a bi-monthly show where I answer your questions, which you submit through various different ways, including my forums at thekingofhate.com, including my Twitter account at theycallmeDSP, and also I'm live streaming this. So right now we've got a live stream chat going, alright, and what I'm going to do is different segments of the show. At the end of the show, if we have time, which I hope we do, I'll be taking questions from the stream chat, and people who actually cheer, sub, or tip during the course of today's stream, I'll be answering their questions at the end of the show cumulatively, okay? So, hello and welcome everyone to Ask the King. Today is actually April 26, 2018. Past couple of months, they've been busy for gaming, but of course they've also been a lot of disappointment with a lot of games that came out that weren't very great. But recently, I've been very, very busy with releases like God of War and my Bloodborne Redemption run, so it's nice to finally be able to sit down and do something completely different. I did not do a podcast last month in March. Typically, what I do is one style of podcast / vlogging style show a month, like I'll do Ask the King or my Hate Live podcast. I didn't get to do one last month because when I would have done it, there was like 4 new games that came out all within 1 week, and then I've just been so busy constantly with new stuff that I haven't had a chance to do anything until right now. So, I'm sure people have burning questions. Feel the burn of the burning questions that will be asked here on today's live stream. All right, now, a couple quick things. Number one, guys. Sadly, it's very hot here in April in Washington State, where I live. We are in a heat wave, an abnormally hot heat wave. Today it's over 80 degrees outside, so you can hear my air conditioner pumping. I know you can. Normally you can't hear it because in gameplay videos you have all the background noise, but for Ask the King, you're just going to hear the thing constantly going on and off. There's nothing I can do about it, and I apologize for that. Number two, again, you may see things popping up for people cheering, subbing, and tipping during the stream. I am going to try to give shout-outs for those if they're just quick things, but if it's something that's like a question, I'm going to try to save that to the end segment, all right? As always with this show, it's going to be split into parts. So if you're watching on YouTube, there's going to be multiple parts of the video, so that way you can skim through it. And if you look at the description of the video, usually I put timestamps so you can jump around the show. But for those on stream, there's going to be some commercial breaks in between, all right? Just being upfront with you guys. So just to start, shout out to Dr. Soundwave, who resubbed to the channel for the 8th month in a row. Thank you, Dr. Soundwave, for 8 months of support. I very much appreciate that. One final thing before we start. If you guys want to get in on the upcoming Patron's Choice playthrough, you need to pledge to my Patreon right here, guys. You have to do it by the end of April, so you only have 4.5 days left as of the time that I'm filming this in order to pledge to my Patreon. $5 or more, you'll get in on the Patron's Choice playthrough, where you'll be able to nominate and vote on games that will become an ongoing full playthrough on stream and here on YouTube as well. Okay? All right. Let's go ahead and let us begin with questions for Ask the King. Sound good? So we're starting with forum questions. This, in particular, we're starting with a patron. And by the way, it's important to know, if you pledge to my Patreon, $20 or more, you're guaranteed to get your question answered on the next episode of Ask the King. In particular, this month, for whatever reason, only one person had a couple questions who was a patron who they wanted to ask them. So we're going to get to those first. But if you want to be guaranteed to be on the show and get your questions answered in full, pledge to my Patreon. It's one of the perk level rewards. Okay? All right. So, number one, guys. This is from Planet Jeff. He asks 2 questions, so let's jump right in. He says, Phil, is there a way you might be able to rearrange your setup so you don't have to turn away so much from the TV in order to view the chat? The main and only reason I asked, there have been some times I've noticed you missed something, and I'm sure you might have elicited some interesting commentary on it. There are other things that do get missed. When you were playing Bloodborne, I specifically remember you didn't see 2 treasure bug things because your eyes were turned away. All right. I guess what I should do before I answer this question is elaborate on my setup. I have one of the most probably elaborate setups of anyone who streams, so allow me to explain. Directly in front of me is my webcam. You are facing dead on straight ahead of me, all right? So you can see me head on at all times. Obviously, right here I have my microphone. Right in front of me also, my gaming controller for whatever game I'm playing, usually sitting right in front of me on a nice laptop desk. And on that laptop desk, slightly to my left, is my laptop on which I have the stream chat. Okay, so I can see you guys in stream chat. But also, I have my laptop where it shows Muxy. And Muxy is what I use to track your cheer, subs, and tips during streams. So when I see something change, popped up, okay, now I give a shout out, okay? This is the stuff that I really need right in my face at all times. The laptop in particular has to be the thing up close and in my face. If that was away or somewhere else, I couldn't do shout outs. And I couldn't read the stream chat. So this absolutely has to be right here. It can't be anywhere else, all right? Now, I'm sitting on a love seat. All right. Most other streamers, they're sitting at a PC set up on their desk or whatever, right? They're just sitting right there. I'm not. I'm sitting on a love seat. And so I have around me other equipment. For example, to my left here, I have my mouse, which I use to control my desktop PC, which lets me allow to record or stop recording or stream or stop streaming. I've got my drinks. So right now I have a mug of water. Okay. And I have an energy drink that I usually drink one energy drink per day to get me ready for streaming. So that's to my left over here. And then to my far left off in the back, I have my computer monitor turned towards me, and I can monitor the stream. I can see the quality of the stream that's going out to Twitch right now. I can monitor my OBS studio setup to see everything that's being captured over there. So basically, over here is like my command center for everything going on with the stream on my left-hand side, okay? To my right, way off to the back of the room there, I have my entertainment center. Now, on my entertainment center, there is my PS3, my Nintendo Switch, and my Xbox 360 on the bottom shelf. On the middle shelf, there's my PS4 and my Xbox One. And on the top shelf, it's my Wii U and my old Wii, okay? And those are all sitting in the entertainment center. And on top of the entertainment center is my TV, okay? And right here are my headphones. My headphones plug into the little headphone receiver below me on the floor, and that goes off to whatever console I'm currently playing. It's attached to the back of that console. All right. I would tell you all the ins and outs of how I also have HDMI cables going to a splitter and my capture device. I don't need to get that much into it. So the bottom line is when I'm sitting here playing games, here's what I'm doing. I'm looking at the camera and talking to you. When I'm playing the game, I'm usually slightly tilted to the right, playing the game like this. When I'm looking at stream chat, I have to look around the mic, and I look down at stream chat. I'm looking over here at people who are cheering, subbing, and tipping and stuff like that. And then over here, I'm constantly looking to the left to monitor the stream and make sure everything's going okay with the stream. And I wait for about 10 to 15 minute intervals to say, oh, okay, that video is ready, and I'll stop recording and start recording again to create the parts for YouTube. All right? So I actually, on the fly, am constantly stopping and starting recording. A lot of people don't know that. They think, oh, Phil just streams and he splits it up later. No, I'm on the fly stopping and starting, which is why as soon as I finish a stream, I'm able to upload those videos to YouTube right away. It's a lot of work. It's a hell of a lot of micromanagement, but in my opinion, it's a system that works, and I've used this system, you know, for, what, I started streaming in 2013, so at least 5 years I've been using this system, and it works, okay? Now, some people say, Phil, you're constantly, when we watch you playing, you're tilted to the right. Doesn't that hurt your neck? Well, no. 2 reasons. Number one, I'm not like this. No, I'm like this. I'm turned, right? Playing like this. So when I'm playing, my body is slightly turned to the right. It's not my neck that's constantly turned to the right, all right? It's not like this. It's not like I'm playing like this looking out into the hallway, you know? It's just a slight turn of the neck. It's not that big of a deal. When I used to work in an office, it was the same deal. Yes, I had a monitor in front of me, but I also had files and things. I was constantly having to look to the side or do that. Never have I had a job where I could just do this. Duh, and just stare forward. I don't think I've ever had a job where I could do that. It's constantly about turning and looking different directions or whatever. But, you know, if anything, it's not really the turning of the neck that's dangerous, in my opinion. It's being sedentary, not getting up and moving around a lot. Because when I'm streaming, for example, a typical stream, I start 10:15 in the morning, and I sit down and I'm streaming till what, like 2 p.m. before I take a break. So that's 4 hours of just sitting. And then I finally get up and walk around for 15 minutes, and I sit down for another 2 hours. See what I mean? I need to keep those breaks. Why does Phil take breaks? Other streamers don't take breaks. Because if you don't realize it, being sedentary is not good for you. You can cause blood clots. You can cause a lot of health issues. So that's why I have to at least take a couple breaks during the day when I'm streaming. And that's another reason. Some people ask me, why don't I stream 6-8 hours at a time? That's why. It's not good for you. It's good to have natural breaks where you're doing activity between your streams instead of just sitting here for marathons. It's not healthy for your body at all. It's just not. Okay? Now, going along with your question, all right, he says, why don't I rearrange my setup? Well, it's very simple. I've talked about this for years. I'll say it again. My setup sadly has to be the way it is, because over here is my modem along with my PC. I honestly didn't want my setup like this when I moved into this house. I wanted to have my PC and all that set up against this wall. And I wanted to have it so my PC was there and the TV were there. I wanted everything like kind of on one side, and then the other side was going to be storage. But when I moved in, I was told it can't be that way, that the internet is on this side of the room, okay, and I need to have my modem over here. I said, well, can't I put my modem over here on this wall? And they said, no, because the line on this wall actually directly goes downstairs to my TV, and that's where my other internet setup is. If you guys aren't aware, I have two. This internet setup right here is my business class super fast internet through Comcast, the fastest available in my area, and it's dedicated just to live streaming and uploading videos, period. I do nothing else with that. So I can live stream at the highest quality, I can stream and upload, and no issues, it's always there. I have another modem downstairs that's just regular internet. That modem is hooked up to a wireless setup that I then use to do things like use my phone, watch Netflix or WWE Network or PS View downstairs on my TV. The internet for my laptop and my girlfriend Kat's stuff, her phone and stuff are all connected wirelessly to that modem. That way, there's no problem where, oh God, someone's watching a movie on Netflix, someone's using their phone. It won't interfere with my streams or my uploading. All right. So what I was told when I moved in here is that no, the line over here in this wall of the right-hand side of my office is directly connected to the one downstairs. So you can't have two modems on the same exact wire, or else you're going to be sucking bandwidth out of each other. So I was told this wire over here is a separate line that connects to the outside. So I had to have one modem here and one modem down there. Now that being said, now I'm screwed because I can't have my computer stuff here and the TV and everything over here on this side of the office. It doesn't fit. There's only a small area over there. So I had to split what I wanted to do with the office and have my PC/internet set up over here to stream, and all my actual gaming stuff, consoles and the like, has to be on the other side of the room because that's where there's room for it. All right. Could I rewire my entire house? Maybe, but it probably would cost a ridiculous amount of money. In addition, even though I legally have the right to do that, it would probably be a pain in the ass later on. Let's say, for example, I eventually have to sell my house. Well, now explain to someone why you had to tear the walls out and why there's 3 internet lines on one side and not the other. You know what I mean? Like, you want to try to keep the house congruent with all the other homes in the area. So if you try to sell it, it's attractive, not that. Sadly, I have a house that's so different because I renovated everything for the business, and now I'm trying to sell it, and now I can't sell it. You know what I mean? So that being said, there really is no way that I could better rearrange my equipment, sadly. The only thing I could do, instead of using a monitor at all right, I could just play games only on my PC. And what that would entail is, number one, either buying a gaming PC to handle all the games that I play, which I can't do that right now, or running even more wires. Oh, by the way, there's already 3 giant wires run across my whole office floor, running another wire across the office floor so that I could have, the game set up only on my PC. And I would never be sitting here on the love seat ever again. I'd be sitting over there in front of my PC forever. And honestly, that's what a lot of streamers do. They only play games on their PC setup. I don't like that. When I sit down to game, all right, I've always been of the impression that gaming is supposed to be something that's comfortable, something that's entertaining and fun. And yes, I do this for a living, so it should be to a level of professionalism as well. But I want to sit here and enjoy a game. So I want to sit on a nice love seat over here with tons of space and room if I need to stretch my legs. Not that I'm on a cramped office setup, an office chair where there's no room to really relax or be comfortable. And I want to sit here and be able to have interaction with you guys on a laptop, and I have drinks in front of me, everything. This is a much better setup, in my opinion. This is my personal opinion, than someone who's cramped in front of their PC all day. And I could attest to that because there are PC games that I play, in particular when I do like indie marathons and stuff. A lot of the games I play are on PC only. So I have to go sit there in front of my PC for the greater part, or 8+ hours for a marathon. And by the end of the day, my neck's killing me, my back's killing me, my body is sore as fuck, and I just didn't have a good time. I felt like, man, I really wish I could have just went and relaxed on my love seat and enjoyed games for what they are, an enjoyment, relaxing experience, rather than, I had to be super serious and, be right in front of my PC constantly and have everything go through my PC. All right. Now, you don't have to believe that. You could be completely, all right, of the other mentality of, okay, no, I believe that is the ideal setup. That's fine, but that's not my personal belief. I've always been more comfortable in the 10 years that I've made videos for YouTube, and now in the 5 years that I've been live streaming, I've always done it like this, and I enjoy it this way. I really do. Hold on. Just got a text. All right. It was my girlfriend at work. All right. So there you go, guys. That's the situation with the whole office setup. I wish that I could change it. I wanted to when I first moved in. I wanted everything on one side. I was told you can't do it. So that's how it is. The thing is, do you see any actual negative effect on my work? No one's ever said, oh man, Phil's work seems like it's not as good because, oh no, Phil missed something in Bloodborne. It's probably not because I was looking here. It's because I was looking at Stream Chat. It doesn't matter if Stream Chat is right here or right here or right here. If I'm looking at Stream Chat, I'm not going to see what's on screen in Bloodborne, period. So I'm going to miss stuff. Being an interactive streamer, I'm going to miss stuff. There's not much you can do about that, especially, I've really done... I've really tried to adapt over the last year and make it so that it doesn't affect it, but there's going to be times when I'm looking over here. Oh, here's a shout out. Here's me reading off of Twitch Stream Chat, and I'm going to miss shit in the game. There's nothing you can do. It doesn't matter if it was right next to it. If it was on the same fucking screen, I'd still miss it because I'm looking at Stream Chat. All right? It's just going to happen. Shout out to your boy Bob who did a 50-bit cheer. He said, what up, man? All right. Another question from Planet Jeff. He says, do you have any good walking paths in your immediate neighborhood? I live in a Phoenix suburb. Unfortunately, it doesn't really have much to offer, especially during our brutal summertime. For many months here, it's strictly get as fast from one air-conditioned cool place to another. Well, Washington State is known as a state that has a lot of parks. All right? There's real talk. They have a lot of parks. And so, if I wanted to walk constantly or whatever, yes, there's places I could go. I would just have to get a registration. I think you have to get like a ticket for your car. It's, probably like a $10 donation or something. And then you could go to any of these parks around here and you can walk around. Or just here where I live, we have a path in the back that's a dog walking path. To walk your dog through this grassy area so that, you can use the bathroom or whatever. Or play with the dog or whatever. And, my facility here that I live in has a long road up which you can walk to get your mail. And that's a nice walking path too. So I have nice walking paths if I want. There you go. All right, so there you go. Those were the patron questions. Now we're going to move on to forum questions. So questions for people who posted up on the kingofhate.com forums. Thank you to everyone who did. Let's jump right in. The first question comes from the Warlord 2K50. And the Warlord asks the following. I have a GCSE exam coming up in mid-May. I don't know what that stands for. I apologize. It sounds to me like a qualifying exam for some kind of school or whatever. All right. I am confident that I will be fine when it comes to the exams, but do you have any tips for revising? Do you get nervous when you have your exams? I don't know what you call high school exams in the States. So again, okay, he doesn't live in the United States. It makes sense that I don't know what the GCSE is, okay? I already had some mock exams, and I have another set of mocks coming up in March. I'll be announcing a significant amount of time off from YouTube, and I'm revising the stuff I need to work on. All right. So his question is, do I have any tips when it comes to being confident for exam time, or just in particular when it comes to exams? Did I get nervous when I did my exams in high school? All right. So in high school, I had the SATs and the PSATs. The PSATs are known as kind of like the qualifying test to see how you're going to eventually do on the real SATs, all right? So I remember studying for them, and the thing is, there's a million things you could do. You could buy books that apparently have dummy questions in them. There's online resources you could use in order to research and do that kind of stuff. But in general, I agree, it was like a very trying, nervous time, because people just really, oh my God, if you don't do good on those exams, you're not going to be able to get into a good university or college. If you can't do that, then you're not going to get a good job. It's going to screw your whole life up. It all hinges on doing well on this one fucking exam. In reality, that's not the case. In reality, it's a wide variety of things. There were kids at my school who scored much lower than me on their exam, their SATs, yet got into better schools than me. All right, now I'm not going to get into detail about that. This is not a question about that. It's about a wide variety of criteria in America, at least, to get into university. All right. But that being said, yes, studying works. Yes, looking at example questions and the like will help you. But for me, there were two things that really allowed me, I feel, to do well, because I did really well. I believe, and again, don't quote me on this because it's been a long time. I think I got a 1400 on my SATs, which was considered a very good score. It's not like the best, certainly. You're not a genius, but it's a very high score overall for, like, in general. And And so, now keep in mind, this was back in the day. Now I believe the SAT is completely different. I actually believe the SATs now go up to like a really much higher score level too. Back then, I think the highest you could get was 1,600, if I remember correctly. Again, I'm trying to remember. So 1,400 out of 1,600 ain't so bad. Today, I think they've changed the whole criteria of how they're scored, okay? From what I'm to understand, now you could get up to like 1,800 or 2,000. I don't know. But back then, you couldn't do that shit, okay? So that being said, I remember being very nervous, and basically what I did is I kind of just told myself, I'm not going to be nervous about this. I remember I took the SATs twice, and the first time I went in, I said, I was so fucking nervous, and I would answer a question, but I would second guess and third guess myself. Did I do this right? Let me double check my work, let me triple check. And you know what? What ends up happening is you overthink it to the point where, number one, you spend way too much time on each question, and so you're not going to finish the stuff anyway. And number two, oh, did I make a mistake? Now I got to double check. Oh, I'm not sure. Let me erase. Next thing you know, you fucked everything up, right? For me in life, in particular in life, it seems to me that unless you have an epiphany, like, oh my God, I totally really didn't do that question right, whatever is your first instinct is usually the right one. So in particular, if you're taking a test, I think, you do this formula and you do this, boom, do the math. Oh, there's the answer. Select it, move on to the next question, right? Not, God, let me double check, let me triple check, let me do this, let me do that. Next thing you know, 20 minutes passed and you have a whole rest of the exam to get to and you wasted a ton of time, right? So that being said, I'm not sure what your test is like either. Is it multiple choice? I remember for the SATs, some were multiple choice questions and others weren't. Like others, you actually had to like write an essay and shit out for certain parts, which was also ridiculous. All right. I just remember the first time I took it, I was super nervous, and I ended up getting a certain score. I don't remember what score I got. I don't. And I remember the second time I took the test, I was more relaxed. I said, you know what? I'm not going to freak out about this. I'm not going to let a single test determine my future. If I don't get an amazing score on this fucking test, I'll do something else. I'll figure life out. It's not about one test that some asshole put in front of me, right? That's going to be the be-all and end-all of my life. And when I took the test the second time with that attitude and I didn't go back and second guess myself, that's when I got the 1,400, the higher score. So I actually got a higher score by being more relaxed and not being super nervous and overly second guessing than when I was like that for the first time. So at least for me, that's what worked. I don't know if that's what's going to work for you. All right. But yeah, I was very nervous that first time. So that's really, honestly, that's my answer. Be more relaxed. Realize that the test is not going to make or break your life. And just go at it at your best. Use your first instinct. And the rest is whatever happens, right? There you go. Okay. Shout out to Jack Cooper the Plumber. He says, Phil, when you were younger, were you primarily a Nintendo or Sega gamer? Well, when I was growing up in the 80s, I was an Atari guy. I had an Atari 7800 system that my uncle had gifted me. And I played a bunch of Atari 7800 games. Then I saw that my cousins had a Nintendo Entertainment System, and I really wanted that. So eventually I got the NES, but very shortly after getting it, the SNES launched. And that was really when I got majorly into console gaming. The SNES was my go-to console with games such as Super Mario World, Zelda A Link to the Past, Final Fantasy 4 and 6, Chrono Trigger, Earthbound, Super Mario RPG, Street Fighter 2, among many, many others, okay? But then, as I was enjoying the era of the success of the SNES/Super Famicom in the United States, the Sega Genesis was also out, and I started seeing some really cool games on that. In particular, if you can believe it, where did I see them? At stores where they had kiosks showing off the Sega Genesis, and also at my local dentist's office. My dentist actually had a Sega Genesis setup in his office where kids could play while they were waiting to go into the dentist. And that's the first time I ever played Sonic the Hedgehog and Eco the Dolphin. And based off those games, I said, man, I've never seen graphics this blazingly fast on the SNES. I would like to actually get Sonic the Hedgehog. So eventually, I asked my parents for it, and I think it was either for my birthday or Christmas, they bought me a Sega Genesis. So I did enjoy games on the Genesis, like the Sonic series, the X-Men series, and I rented many games for the Genesis over the years as well. But I would say primarily I was a Nintendo gamer until the PS1. And when the PS1 came out, it was all about PlayStation. Most of the games that I played seriously, I played on the PlayStation. Then when the Dreamcast came out, that became my primary console for playing fighting games, because almost all the games, including Marvel vs. Capcom 1 and 2, Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, and Capcom vs. SNK 2 all had great ports that were played competitively on the Dreamcast, so that was my go-to system for the longest time, and then I kind of fell out of console gaming for a while. So, your real answer would be, primarily, I was a Nintendo gamer, although I did have a Sega Genesis and a Dreamcast later on. During those formative years of gaming, where I grew up with gaming, it was usually my SNES was the go-to system of choice for me. There you go. All right, next question. From Dean Jones. This is a very interesting question that I wanted to address on this episode of Ask the King. So here we go, guys. Get ready. Oh, by the way, shout out to Geronimo, who did a 200-bit cheer and said, here's to the love couch. And Plague Wielder also did a 50-bit cheer. Thank you guys for your contributions during the stream. All right, next question from Dean Jones, and he asked the following. Phil, with the recent shootings that have taken place in America, it got me to thinking about the stigma surrounding video games and their effects on everyone's mental health. A lot of people still believe that violence in games can trigger behavior that causes people to go out and commit mass shootings, for example. Do you think that video games play a part in the way that we think, or like me, do you think the issue is far more complex than simply seeing something on a screen and carrying an action out in real life? I'd love to hear your opinion on this. All right. So, let's give an answer here. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, is it absolutely true that over the years there have been violent crimes that may have been inspired and or even practiced within video games before they actually occurred? Yes, there's no denying that. As far back as the Columbine shootings in the late 1990s, has been proven that those kids actually set up a virtual school in Doom. They created their own levels that looked like their school and ran through them practicing what they wanted to do. All right. So yes, there is an influence. There is a direct link there. Absolutely. However, what you need to do when you have situations like we have in the United States, you need to think logically and you need to think analytically. All right. And this is sadly what a lot of people don't do. They just say there's a correlation. That's it. Video games are to blame. Ladies and gentlemen, video games are now one of the biggest, if not the biggest industry in the world. They make more money than movies, music, television, and any other form, radio, any other form of entertainment medium combined. They make more money. Video games are where it's at, all right? We have seen how many violent franchises of video games over the last 20 years, including games, I mean, let's just call a few out. Call of Duty, Grand Theft Auto, Gears of War, God of War, just in particular. Think of the ultra violence, ripping body parts off, blood, squirting, chainsaws going through bodies, right? Mass stealing cars, driving people down in the streets, mass gang shootings. All this stuff is allowable and happens all the time in video games, all right? It's true, right? These games are million sellers. Every game that I mentioned, the franchise is a million seller, makes tons of money, despite the fact that those games are ultra violent, right? They're ridiculous sellers. Ladies and gentlemen, since we saw games like those become million sellers and become the biggest thing in entertainment, have we suddenly seen a ginormous epidemic of street crime? Are people running through the streets with AK-47s constantly shooting each other? Are people stealing cars and driving over people and starting gang wars in the streets around every street corner? I don't think so. Does crime happen? Yes, but have we seen an exponential rise in the amount of crime and violent crime happening in the United States since video games and violent video games have become popular? No. In fact, there's no direct correlation at all between the giant spike in popularity of video games and the amount of violent crimes that happen in the United States. There's none. There's been no statistical study that proves anything between those. So when I hear pundits and politicians say it's video games to blame, it's the desensitizing, of our youth to violence because they're constantly playing violent video games, I say, dude, we've had violent movies, violent television, violent video games, violent music. Again, in the 90s, it was the gangster rap that apparently made all the kids violent, right? We've got all this going on, yet we can't prove any direct correlation between any of it. We haven't, since these things become popular, we haven't seen a giant exponential rise in violence at all. I'm sorry, but I don't see people running through the streets with chainsaws chopping each other apart. It just, if that happens, it's an anomaly and it's a crazy fucking person, all right? Now, what we do see is in the rare occurrence that a crazy crime happens, all right? If you actually look at these people and you analyze them, you'll find, gee, more than likely there's something wrong with them. Emotionally, they're unstable. They're from a broken home. And yes, maybe they play video games, all right? And maybe they use that video game as an outlet, and maybe that video game even inspired them to do what they do. But that's the exception to the rule. The reason that person did the violent crime is not because they played the violent video game, but because they were already fucked up in the head, right? The problem is up here, not here. Taking this away from everyone does not stop those people from still being fucked up here and still going through with something that's really messed up. So instead of this now being the scapegoat, we get rid of this. Next it'll be TV. And then once the violent TV is gone, then it'll be the movies. Once the violent movies are gone, what's the next scapegoat? You know what I mean? And that's all it is, a scapegoat after scapegoat. Instead of dealing with the issue that someone's fucked up in the head, what caused them to be fucked up, and what allowed them to have the ability to go on the rampage they went on and commit the violent crime they did, instead we want the easy answer. Let's censor video games and censor TV and censor music and censor... Get the fuck out of here. That's not even an intelligent, logical, analytical answer. That is, I don't want to actually work to fix the problem. I just want a quick fix Band-Aid on the problem and pretend like I did something to fix it. And that's what our politicians in America do, sadly. They don't want to actually go to work on fixing the innate problem of why are so many people nuts today that they're going off and committing these violent crimes. Instead, they want to put the Band-Aid on it. Oh, well, if we just make it so that games are now regulated in a different way, magically all crime will go away. It's fucking ludicrous. It's stupidity. It's not going to solve anything. It's just very dumb. And I completely disagree with anyone who's going to come to me with a rationale like that. Okay, you're going to tell me it's video games that caused it. Prove it. Find the statistic. Find the direct correlation of so many people committing violent crimes to video games. It's never existed. It doesn't exist because it's not true. It's bullshit. It's fluff. It's a way for them to spin things so that you feel better. Oh, it's just because of them violent video games. It's not that there's some kind of crazy actual mental illness going through America with people and culture, and in general, things are fucked up to the point where people are just feeling so worthless with themselves and so crazy they want to go out and kill mass people. We don't want to address that issue. Instead, it's the video games. Sure it is. All right. Anyway, shout out to Straight Cash Homie, who did a 245-bit cheer and said, Phil, I truly enjoy your playthroughs of new games, but I think me and many others also like to see you do some retro games on retro days. Fair enough. You know, I did retro stuff back in March and February, right? Some of the games that I played back then. Grand Theft Auto Vice City. Excuse me. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, said the wrong game. Bully, Heavy Rain. You know, I've been doing retro stuff. The reason I stopped doing it is because I did so much of it. People got burnt out on that, so then I went on to something else. You see what I mean? You're right. It's about balance. It's about balance. And that's why today I'm doing Ask the King. Tomorrow I'm doing Bloodborne and PUBG. I'm doing Ultra Street Fighter 2 on Sunday. And I'm not going back to God of War in a major stream till Monday. I'm giving it a few days to break. So there you go. All right. All right, guys. How long have we been going? 32 minutes. We can still keep going on this part. All right. The next question from MDC Fan 101. He says, Phil, I've been meaning to ask you this for quite some time. What inspired you the most to become a YouTuber? Well, here's the thing. Never really was I inspired to be a YouTuber. I never intended to be a YouTuber who would be someone known for putting videos on the internet and someone who would make a living doing this. I never aspired to be. When I started putting videos on YouTube in 2008, the only people who were making a living doing it were vloggers, comedians, and I say that loosely, but comedians, or people who were very hyper focused on one genre or one focus. All right. Gaming was not monetizable overall on YouTube. You couldn't just put out gameplay videos and put ads on them. They didn't allow you to do that when I started on YouTube. It actually wasn't until late 2010, early 2011 when that became a possible thing to do and you could actually start making money playing video games on YouTube. So this whole thing didn't even become possible until I was already 2.5 years into doing it, okay? That being said, the reason I was inspired to do it was because I saw people like the Angry Video Game Nerd and the Nostalgia Critic. Guys who didn't have a big budget, guys who didn't have a lot of crew, guys who literally were shoestring, what is that what it's called? Basically low budget, doing it by themselves kind of guys, were able to just do silly video series on the internet that were funny and inspiring, and they became incredibly popular based off of their talent and their passion rather than the high production values, the skill of video editing, tons of money and teams of people to edit it to look like a great high production TV show. Instead, their stuff didn't look great, but it was still hilarious, and they became very popular because of it. And I was inspired by people like them to say, you know what, why, a lot of people tell me I'm funny. They like to hear my reactions or my commentary on stuff. You know, in particular at Street Fighter tournaments and the like, I would comment when people were playing games and stuff. People really thought that was a funny guy. So why couldn't I translate that into a video for YouTube, right? And what I saw at the time in 2008, when I was deciding to maybe do a few videos for YouTube, most people who were doing gameplay weren't doing, number one, they weren't doing full playthroughs at all. Number two, they were doing walkthroughs where it was just like informative videos. It wasn't entertaining so much as here's how you beat this boss, here's how you find this secret item, right? Very different from the kind of content that I put out. And so I said, you know what? Why don't I just record some stuff and throw some videos up of me just commentating constantly over games? And it really wasn't serious. I mean, a few of the first videos I ever did, I was drunk. I remember playing Mercenaries 2 and being completely rip-roaring drunk and just doing commentary over bugs and shit that was happening during the game. And people loved those videos. They thought they were friggin' funny. You know, and it just kind of came out of nowhere that people liked what I did because I was different. Here's a guy who's trying to do something different. He's not trying to copy off of everybody else. He's not trying to bite off of anyone else's idea. He's just doing honest commentary of like a Joe average guy who doesn't really care about the seriousness of the video game. He's just commentating over it, even having drinks and stuff, doing jokes, improv comedy, just being a funny and being fun and having fun with games. And a lot of that wasn't present on YouTube back then. So boom, it exploded with viral popularity. And next thing you know, for 2.5 years, it became my hobby and I was well known for doing it. I became the ultimate underdog of a guy who really had no editing talent, no real production value, and certainly no budget to do anything, but was able to get viral popularity on YouTube because I was just entertaining. And then, when I lost my job in late 2010, people felt, wow, this is really fucked up. He was just doing an office job for a living. This was his hobby, and now they dump him in his office job out of nowhere. They lay him off, and now he's supposed to figure out what to do for a living. Let's support him. And so then I was able to start monetizing videos on YouTube, and the rest is history. That I was able to make money doing this for a living. But I never aspired to do it. Never once in my life did I say, man, I see this guy on YouTube, and he's popular. I want to be like that. I want to be the guy who puts out gameplay videos every day and makes a living doing what he loves. Never, it all just kind of happened. It all just kind of happened and fell in my lap. It was never something I planned and never something I even aspired to work toward. It just happened on the fly. What a crazy story, because a lot of people, I know in modern days, right? Well, I saw other people doing it, and I wanted to work hard and dedicate myself to become a big guy, so I grinded for 2 years streaming on Twitch until finally I got noticed, and now here I am, I'm the top Fortnite streamer, right? I think that's kind of the rags to riches story of Ninja, is that he was just a kid who wanted to play games on Twitch and saw other people doing it, and he just wanted to work his butt off, and eventually, through hard work, became successful. That's really not even my story. My story is just craziness and zaniness and luck and just things falling into place. So there you go. Okay. All right. Do we have time for? Yeah, we have time for one or two more questions. There you go. Shout out to Tyler Simba, who asks the following. He says, "I don't know if anyone will ask you this. Do you miss any cartoons from the 90s? What was one of your favorites? If you have one, multiple is okay too. Keep up the good work." The 90s were a very tumultuous time. Lots of things changed. You had Saturday morning cartoons that were super popular, but then you had 3D animations that were coming out at the same time that were trying to push themselves into the limelight. For me, when I think overall my best favorite cartoons of all time, I would probably say Batman the Animated Series, and then Gargoyles was on TV at the same time. So was the X-Men cartoon. All of those, because they were all kind of comic book style cartoons that brought the comics to life in a very serious way. They took the characters seriously. It wasn't like silly, cartoonish nonsense that didn't matter. They had ongoing plot lines that continued through the show and treated the characters seriously. And then after that came cartoons like Justice League and stuff like that I thought were the best. So that's honest answer. I mean, I could go into a ridiculous amount of details about the ridiculous amount of cartoons, the Disney Afternoon and stuff that I used to watch in the 1990s. And on Saturday mornings, you'd watch the new hot cartoons and Ninja Turtles and Power Rangers and Transformers, Beast Wars. I could name a bajillion things that I've seen over the years. But for me, those are the ones that stand out as like those DC Comics cartoons were like the best, in my opinion. Okay? Okay. Shout out to YOLO Dopper. He's, I think your whole YouTube journey in general has been a zany one with its ups and downs. I agree. I totally agree, YOLO Dopper. Okay. All right. The next question is from Cisco Certified. And he says, Phil, you said one of the main reasons you no longer play Street Fighter 5 or Killer Instinct is because so much of the content is behind a paywall. If I or anyone else were to send you the PC versions of Street Fighter 5 Arcade Edition or KI with everything unlocked, would you play them again? I don't even know where you're getting your information. Cisco Certified, maybe that was one thing I referenced in a random video at some point, okay? But that is not the main reason. Killer Instinct I stopped playing because the netcode was proven to be fucked up. It was proven to be that the game would desync, and things you would do on one side of the game were not happening on the other side. And at that point, I just got completely turned off from the game and never wanted to play it again. All right. Now, apparently, eventually they fixed it. They had other seasons, but I just didn't care anymore. Street Fighter V, I just hate the game. The game itself innately was designed to be a non-reactionary style game. A game where all you do is you have patterns and strategies that are not like a typical fighting game. Footsies, reactionary anti-airs, all things that used to be giant parts of fighting games are really not present, or at least weren't present in the first year and a half of Street Fighter V gameplay. Maybe that whole thing has changed now, and I don't give a shit. I'm not going back to a game that for a year and a half was terrible and I don't like. The reason I don't play those games is because I don't like them. Not because, oh, they're hidden behind a paywall. I don't ever remember going into an elaborate rant about, oh, everything's hidden behind a paywall. I don't think that's the case. In fact, Street Fighter V, if you play the hell out of it, you can earn enough in-game credits to unlock all those characters for free. At least that used to be like that. I don't know if it still is. But yeah, I just don't really care about those games anymore. Sorry. You know, everyone says there's a chance for a first impression. Street Fighter V gave me the worst possible first impression for a fighter, and I never want to play the game ever again. Period. Sorry. You could be hype, you could like the game, you could say the game's different. I don't care. I'm never playing it. I just don't care. I have no desire to ever play it. Every time I look at the game, I get turned off. Okay. I think we got time for one more question before we go on a break here. So this question is from Melancholy Panda. And Melancholy Panda... Let's try this again. Melancholy Panda asked the following. Phil, recently, with your receiving a review copy of Extinction, you talked a lot about how reviewers are getting games ahead of time and it's elitist and wrong. But you've always talked about in context of live streaming. Could you elaborate on your feelings about reviews in general? I agree that streamers getting early copies is bad because they're obviously going to want to please the publisher to keep the pre-release stream dollars coming for future titles, and they're essentially just being paid to stream an ad. But actual reviewers like Polygon or Giant Bomb get the game, and then we see their official review. That seems fine to me. Listen, first of all, I don't agree with anyone getting games early, period. There was a time when it made sense. That time was the 1990s, folks. Before the era of the internet, when game media companies needed to get a game early so they could play it, finish it, and review it fully before their magazine or publication needed to go out. Game Informer, Game Pro, EGM, just a few of them, that needed to get those games early so they could play them, review them, and give you a print review. So on release day, you'd buy the magazine. Oh, wow. It says here that, Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island is a great game and I should play it. And incidentally, it came out today, so now I know if I want to go and, if I want to buy that game or not on release day, right? Ladies and gentlemen, it's 2018. We now have the internet. We now have the ability, all of us, to share our experiences live. We could live stream our games. We can review games within a day or two of release. We no longer need anyone on the planet to get a game early ever again. What we need is self-control. Ladies and gentlemen, we as a gaming community need to start exercising self-control. And what that means is instead of running out and buying into the hype and all the media and marketing that happens around game releases and believing every possible fucking positive thing that's said about a game here and there, all right, instead of all that, we start to be mature and we realize maybe we shouldn't buy into all that stupid shit. And we don't need to play every fucking game on release day. We don't. As gamers, we need to become more informed, we need to become more intelligent, and we need to become more reserved with where we spend our gaming dollars. Because what happens is we buy into the hype, we buy into the bullshit, we run out and we buy games that are just online cooperative experiences. The only reason the game's good is because you're playing it with your friends. If you try to play it by yourself, the game's a stinking piece of shit. And we make these games giant million sellers that then tells the game industry we don't want robust single-player experiences anymore. Instead, we just want online grinding co-op garbage. That's not the way to go, all right? What we need to do, instead of relying on everyone getting the game early, and people have entire playthroughs of God of War out 2 weeks early, which happened. You could watch the entirety of God of War on YouTube 2 weeks early. People were streaming it weeks early. People's reviews came out early. What the fuck? Instead of that, how about on release day, we all play the game together and you either take that $60 leap Or you wait a day or two for people who took that $60 leap and are live streaming and are going to review the game for the internet to share their experiences with you and say, here's what the game is. Now judge for yourself if you want to play it. No, instead, we all have to be mindless automatons who go to Metacritic a week before a game's out and look for a number score. And if the number score is above our arbitrary judgment of if a game is good or not, then we go fucking buy it on release day. That's insane. That's insanity. That's crazy. That's called I want no intelligent thought in my fucking life, no responsibility for my actions or judgment. All I want is to judge off a number score of a cumulatively aggregated website of reviews. What the fuck? Is that how you want to go through life? So every time in your life an issue comes up, when you need to vote for a politician, don't actually read into the arguments yourself. Don't read what they stand for. Just listen to the common opinion of who's good and who's bad, and just vote based on that instead. Oh my God, like seriously. And people being lazy is what it is. You can't go through life being that like that, guys. You can't. And the bottom line is these media outlets only exist. IGN and GameSpot, ladies and gentlemen, serve no purpose. They are outdated dinosaurs. They really don't need to exist. When you've got independent people who play these games at launch, who review them, and are way more honest and professional about it than a lot of the big guys who get paid big money to be big advertisement companies like IGN and GameSpot, who are dependent on ad revenue from these game development companies, you don't need them anymore. They serve literally no purpose. You go to the website, it's cluttered, it's nasty, they're covering all kinds of garbage pop culture that has nothing to do with games. The fuck am I here for? You know, whatever happened to gaming journalism? And the answer is, it sold out. Gaming journalism sold out to the highest bidder and is now kowtows to the whoever needs ad revenue and whoever's going to continue to send them the advanced copies early. It's bullshit. It doesn't need to happen anymore. We don't need official gaming journalist agencies ever again. We have enough people independent on the internet covering games. We don't need gaming journalism, period. It doesn't need to exist. We don't need reviews of a game a week ahead of time before the fucking game comes out. We just need to be responsible adults and not run out and buy the fucking game on release day. Wait 1 to 2 days, listen to people who did get it on the internet, get their opinions, watch their streams, watch their videos. Okay, this looks good. Now I'll go buy it. Instead of, oh, Joe Schmo, who's a big streamer, got the game a month ahead of time and is doing an exclusive stream. He got rights to stream the game 2 weeks ahead of time and streams the whole fucking game, so the whole playthrough spoiled on the internet 2 weeks early. Wow, this is really productive for everyone, right? That's what I hate. It's bullshit. It really is. It really is, and I'm sorry to say, you know, again, I'm tired of no one, because of the amount of irresponsibility that there is out there when it comes to advanced copies of games. I don't believe a single person should get advanced copies of games, period. I'm 100% staunchly against the practice. It's always been my opinion. There you go. So we got a few we got a few cheers for 44K Panda. We got a few troll cheers I'm going to ignore, by the way. But 44K Panda said, you say you're against reviewers getting games early, but some people make purchasing decisions based on those reviews. Word of mouth is the best way for people to know if they should buy a game. How can people be well informed if there's no one to take that first plunge? I just explained. We don't need early, we need day of. On the day of release, people are undoubtedly, for streams and for YouTube, going to buy the games, if it's good or bad, because they're going to stream and they're going to make money on the streams and money on the YouTube videos. So let those people take the plunge, share with you their experiences with the game, and based off of that, now you can make an informed judgment. Not, you need to know a week of fucking ahead of time. Just wait a day or two after release, and then there's literally no reason for these big gaming news outlets to ever exist ever again. Overnight, they'll go out of business. Overnight, all the bullshit hype for terrible games that are only good because of ad marketing campaigns creating hype around them, those games will no longer be successful, and all of a sudden, game studios will actually need to have talent again to sell a game. Because it's going to be dependent on you and me and the common gamer to spread the word about those games being good across the internet to get people to buy them, instead of ad bucks and hype and bullshit. And people buying entire franchises like Destiny, that is a terrible fucking game stolen from other franchises that has nothing inspired in it whatsoever. Instead, you'll get more games like God of War. I'm sorry, guys. I would like to play God of War way over Destiny 10 times out of fucking 10. Maybe you disagree with me, but that's me as a lifelong gamer. I want quality for my buck, not reshoveled, grinding garbage that was rushed out and overhyped through a massive media budget, and that's why it became popular, not because the game was actually fucking good. That's just my opinion. Maybe you disagree with me, but I like playing quality games. Okay. Let's see here. 44K Panda also said, look, I'm not saying to buy games based on the score, but what about warning people away from catastrophes like Ride to Hell or Metal Gear Survive? Same thing. Don't buy the game on release day. Let someone else play it. Judge off of that, right? You don't need to be told something a week ahead of time. You just don't. You don't need it. You just need to have a tiny bit of self-control. And by the way, if people had this tiny bit of self-control, they wouldn't blow their money on these overhyped franchises to begin with, and then they'd have more money to spend on quality games that you find out 1 or 2 days after they release, rather than knowing a week ahead of time that everything's overhyped good, and then you waste your money on garbage games. There you go. King of Hypocrisy, I have no idea. And as I said many times, I'm not going to answer questions in regards to Detractor, so you wasted your time with that share. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for part 1 of Ask the King. All right, thank you very much for watching. What I'm going to do right now, if you're watching on YouTube, I'm going to end this video. There'll be other parts coming up. If you're watching this on stream, I'm going to take a break. Then we're going to come back with more forum questions, and we're going to probably begin with Twitter questions in the next part. All right, so thanks everyone so far. For any contributions, cheers, subs, or tips, I appreciate it. Thank you for watching on stream, and I'll be back shortly with more. Thanks, and see you in a few.